So let's start. I'm Marcelo. I'm the managing director of GPC, Green Park Content here in Asia Pacific. I have close to 20 years of experience. I know that doesn't look like, but I do have more than 20 years of experience. Advertising, digital. I had my own business back in Brazil. It was a digital platform that was invested by one of the biggest publishers in Brazil. And this was more than 10 years ago. Learned a lot about advertising at that time, and majority about content. And 6 years ago, I started in which we are trying to help brands to become publishers. So how can we leverage data to bring the right customers to brand websites or content hubs for brands. Green Park Content, it's a company that we have 4 branches today. UK, Brazil, US, and Asia Pacific. Our headquarters here in Asia is in Jakarta, but also we have an office here in Singapore. So I'm talking here from Singapore today. And what I will try to share today here, guys, it's about this subject that before coronavirus was one of the trending subjects on online marketing and advertising industry, right? And a lot of people still talking about this, of course. And there's a lot of uncertainty around what will happen, right? After Google announcing that will kill third-party cookies, right? I would try to give you guys my point of view, experience that I have, a few things that I read about it, and of course, how can we give an alternative for what is about to happen, and maybe how can brands and agencies start to be prepared for this. So hopefully it's a valuable content for you guys. We will talk around 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, and then please, if you have any questions, just cookies doesn't need any introduction, right? Everybody knows what is cookies are about. I would just try to, I think it's the most common method of identifying users online, right? And have been an essential pillar for online ad targeting. This is more than, cookies are 25 years old, actually. I find out about this. And the difference, I think, that is interesting for us to divide here is from first-party data, first-party cookies, right? And third-party data or third-party cookies. So both of them, they perform same functions, right? Because cookies, it's a small text file that is stored on user's device by an internet browser, right, to identify this person and what he's acting on their website. And I think both have same functions when you think about cookies, but first-party data cookies, they collect analytics data and others to facilitate user experience. I think Amazon does this like amazingly. So you know how you are searching for something, some products, and then you start to organize your user experience around the things that you are looking at. Of course, Facebook does that amazingly. We have a lot of websites that does this. Of course, these are used for cross-site tracking, retargeting, and ad serving. Right? Probably majority of people that are here already know about that, but you know, if somebody that doesn't, just refresh. Regarding data, third-party data is aggregated data. Of course, they have a general group of people. And first-party data is the data that you own, right, as a brand that you collect direct from your customers, like all the interactions that they are having with your brand. So if you think about the data that you can have today, party data with first-party data, is that third-party data makes you reach like a broad persona, and first-party data lets you pinpoint hyper-specific persona, right? Of course, this was going great, not so great, because it was the origin of cookies was how to help, right, websites to deliver more engaged content for the users. But users started demanding greater privacy and transparency in the way that their data is being used, right? So we had the General Data Protection Regulation in 2018 in Europe, that was created in 2018 as well, but just started to be regulated in January this year, the California Consumer Privacy Act, and all browser privacy initiatives are like only the beginning, right, of a wider movement around data privacy. But they paint a clear picture of what exactly the next generation of consumer expectations are, right, when it's related to data and protection, and how brands' websites are something that I think everybody, we kind of a feeling that this was coming, right? If you are from advertising industry, if you work with this, you know that this was already a hot topic. And even though, if you look a few years ago already, like Safari and Firefox, they also, like by default, they update their browsers and they start to block third-party cookies since a while now, right? So this is really something that we knew that was coming, and something that if you are from the industry, you kind of should be prepared for it, right? Just let me pass here for the next slide because I have a lagging in my, okay. So then Google came out with this news, right? Okay, remove the third-party cookies from Chrome within 2 years. So why, when Google was the one announcing it, people start to try to freak out about? It's 65% of the internet, right? Even though Safari and Firefox, they have a big chunk of internet on their browsers. Of course, it was already like a big effect if you think about ad industry. You know, about 20%, it's huge. 65% is like, okay, everything goes down, people start to freak out, and then in some way not prepare for it, right? So if you think how programmatic advertising it's meant to be, it's you should kind of at least be a little bit in panic, right? Okay, how our industry will survive now, right? How things will go from now on. And Google, the idea now is actually the discussion that is starting, like what is coming after, right? The cookie Armageddon is Google Privacy Sandbox. So this was Google announced this in August last year. So before they actually announced that they will kill the third-party cookies from Chrome at the beginning of this year. So what is the Google Privacy Sandbox? This is something that we will heard a lot about it, and it's actually an open source environment, and it's the proposal of this Google Privacy Sandbox is to set web standards that will be designed to protect privacy while still giving advertisers the ability to target and measure campaigns. I don't know you guys. I read it aloud it, but I still don't have my full opinion on this. That's why I will not dig in exactly, because I think everybody's still trying to figure out what exactly will be this and how exactly the private sandbox will work. But it's definitely, if you are in the industry and you are affected and you want to understand about it, it's something that you should consider and have in your notes to see how this will be developed. And if you have like a role in the advertising industry, you should be involved, right? Because Google said that, you know, this is it's an open forum. It's a place that people should recommend and needs to be built together, right? Within the industry, right? So this is vision of this is that the project should go through APIs, so in the browser environment, right? So this set of privacy and standards will work as different APIs in the browser environment. As I saw until now, it was created already at least 5 different interfaces that were designed, and that each one of them has like different needs, right? And these interfaces will be used by all stakeholders that are interacting with the Google Privacy Sandbox. In the end of the day, we want to send messages that are better tailored for each. Also receive advertising that is relatable, and I'm sure people don't want to be hunted by ads wherever they go in every place. So a lot of things to discussion. I just want to bring this to the table because this is the solution that Google is bringing to the table, right? And then, of course, if you read the theme of mention what comes for data or audience, it's a kind of a chicken and egg resolution. On the solutions, and I think the short-term ways for us to see impact of part cookies like just going away is that, and this is a question, I don't know, like maybe contextual advertising will be the new cookies. If you are a pre-programmatic advertiser, you know what I'm talking about. You know the time that like contextual advertising is when you have a beer ad in the bar, for example, right? I'm going to the bar and then I'm seeing like beer ads, and I'm going to a food channel and then I see advertising related to food and ingredients and everything that is relatable to the environment that I am in. That is like it's much more in the user perspective. A contextual ad is much more relevant if you think about, and far less creepy as well than the cookie-based behavior retargeting, right? That I'm in the I already mentioned about the food example, but if I'm in the food publisher in the e-commerce that I did like a few minutes ago, right? So it's like, why this ad is here, like hunting me? If I'm find what I want to do and the dinner step for my wife and my kids, and then still here hunting me, right? And it's much better for me to produce at night, or maybe a wine preference or something related to actually looking at that moment, right? Here in Green, maybe something helpful for publishers on the way that we build audiences. I will show the results for you later. So quickly run through it with you guys. We have what we call the discovery process. We used to create like a taxonomy approach for the products. So it's not just that people who are searching content, but is informed, right? Of course, create readable and also so. I was mentioning about advertising that is the right. I'm actually related to trying to drive you guys to how you your on data party if you are easy for brand important right now, right? In audience with the right. So the discovery process is that like a process in discovery dependency. I'm sharing here with you a little bit of our secret. Of course, it's a combination of tools for each of these steps. It's actually the keyword research. So at the discovery phase, we try to master like a long list of search queries from multiple sources to find out possible keyword users actually are searching for related to the market, that the brand that we are working, of course. So identified keyword gaps between the brand and the tools that are using are SEMrush, Ahrefs, Suggest, Answer the Public, Quora, Yahoo Answers. This is just a few of the tools for you to have an idea on what I'm talking about. And then this is go to also the data analysis. This here, the master long list of search queries give us like the core of a semantic field that we call, what is the subject that we want to reach, and then the search volume. Data and competition. So here I was just mentioning that I just want to share with you guys how the process that we have inside Green Park Content to try to create data before the audience that then will bring us the first party data, right? So, and it's interesting for everybody to start thinking about this, like how the amount of data that these tools that I'm sharing here actually they are providing to us, and the amount of data that tools that give it to the input. Later on, we give us like invaluable data on how they behave, how they interact with our content, how they interact with our products, how they interact with how they are consuming content related to our market, right? So I mentioned before about the discovery phase. So this is where we create like the seeding keywords for a semantic field. So how we start cracking a semantic field for a market. And then it goes to the data process. That is, we split these on search volume and competition to establish the opportunities. When I mention competition, it's like you understand what are the opportunities related to keywords, and then you look to competitions, not the direct competitor for your brand, but the direct competitor for you to rank in the first results of Google. That these will probably be publishers, right? The ones that are answering the first questions. So you understand the device and location to provide context for the content that you how they and what are ranking today. Gap of you have a few that you use your Google Care Planner, SEMrush as well, Citrix Insights. We have a partnership with these tools, so we are not promoting them. It's just what we use to do. Okay, here is really just open the book here for you guys. Hopefully this is valuable. And then the next phase is analysis. So the keywords are categorized by theme, right? And we determine the quick wins. So what are the content that we should produce that will give us like quick wins? It's not so difficult to rank in the first positions. And what are the long-term topics to target that this will require more time for us to start to bring a big audience, right? And we identify what are the global themes that we should talk about, that we should share about, okay? The next slide, it's just for you to have an idea on what is the taxonomy is about. So we can like break down all the tools that we use that I just mentioned, all the phases will give us, actually this was created by Jonathan Fink, that is our head of search and innovation in London. He came up with actually, it's a tool that combines all this information and magically give us insights that needs to be analyzed by our data analysts. Okay, so but then it's just for you guys to understand how taking all this information, you can understand the query structure on how people searching about the subject, about the market that you are inserted in, about the market that your brand are inserted in, right? So these search query here, I bring to you just an example, like how we identify that in this environment, in this semantic field, for this specific brand that we did, there was like a lot of questions, like searches that are actual questions, right? Which indicates that there's a very engaged online research and interest about the subjects related to this brand. Also a huge number of superlatives, like best this, best way to do that, best things that I can have with this. A strong indicator of user intent, right? Like indicating that interest in quality and pre-products, right? So things that you can understand why people are asking for the best, not the cheapest. If they want, there are a lot of people who want best. You can relate to a quality and premium product, correct? And but however, like transactions queries, as you can see in the last one here, is very low. And then transaction queries are the ones related to buy, that people ask directly, I want to buy this, or I want to subscribe to this, or I want to do a quote for this. So this is a semantic field that doesn't relate to transaction queries, right? And the brand presence is also big in this semantic field, which shows that it's a brand that is it's famous and it's being searched when it's related to this market. So guys, just to give you this how important it is to build this data structure before, and then I want to give you an example on the way that we build case studies for Unilever. All Things Hair is the biggest platform that Green Park Content has online today. We are in 10 countries, and what we did was try to figure out how people are searching for online on everything that is related about hair, and give them answers through amazing content, to videos, to articles, to hacks, and also social media was something that later on we start to work with. But today we have more than 200, much more than 200,000 direct searches per month on All Things Hair itself as a brand. So we built up the brand. 2 million visitors on our channels per month. We already received last year an award, CMA Content Marketing Award for best use of SEO in a project. Talking about All Things Hair, right? That is the case actually that materialize the strategies that I was showing before on how we are gathering all the first-party data for Unilever when you are in the hair category environment. So we can give insights for what are inside All Things Hair, what people are more spending more time on it, depending on the season. Sometimes you can see when the Unilever hair category can launch some products because we have a higher search or interest, or people are spending more time reading about curly hair in specific country. We can understand what types of content engage more with the audience. How can we have more engagement from audience, and what kind of products we should be offering for the audience, and maybe what kind of products we should be developing for the audience related to what they are searching for or what they are giving to us, right, as a behavior inside the platform. So today we have like 2 million visitors. It's really as you act as a publisher. And my point of view, of course, a part of the big players that we win with this new third-party killing from Google. Of course, Google, Facebook, Amazon, the big ones also win. But I think it's a really good thing for publishers that maybe they can have control back, right, from their advertising assets, and much more important than ever for you to have like a big engaged audience in your platform today, right, and be recognized as a source of information. So I think that the big publishers will receive a lot of benefits with Google going out of the play with third-party cookies. And also I want to just show you another project that we launched in Indonesia 2 years ago. That today has, like, in 2 years we did the same strategy that we apply for All Things Hair in the different markets. There is food, so we are coming from hair category to a food category. Applying the same system strong taxonomy, understand what people are searching for. Very crowded environment, food industry in Indonesia. And in 2 years, today we are having 1.2 million organic users in this platform. How important is for Unilever food brands to understand when and what people are searching for when they want to cook something. And there's a lot of PII data as well, private data that we are gathering in this platform to understand if the people are they are amateurs or they already know how to cook, the level of cooking, if they cook at home or not, if they cook for their families or not. There's a series of information that the audience is giving to the platform that it has like a huge value. And if you think about that, today you have 1.2 million visitors coming, and 90% is not paid, because 70% is organic and 20% is direct traffic. Is when you shift your mindset or just investing on advertising to have audience, and then this just go away, to the mindset of investing in real estate content that we call that you are investing on creating assets, creating articles, creating videos, creating infographics that is owned by your brand, right? That you can use, reuse. This all just growing and growing and growing and growing and grow, never stop. So how important is when you think about that third-party cookies are going away, how important is for you to start building this mindset of having your own data, right, for your audience. I know that a lot of brands, they are struggling because it's not easy to build a huge audience in which you will have a lot of insights. Of course, as bigger your audience, as granular and as insightful will be, right, the data that you are capturing. And a few brand websites, they are not ready for it. So that's why it's important to think about your SEO, your technical SEO. And if you are planning to build an audience to have this first-party data, you really should think in the overall strategy, overall SEO strategy, overall editorial strategy, that you don't need to create a content hub to have it. You can build in your own platform, so you can build in your brand website if all the requirements to grow an audience or organically are being followed, right? I think we are already on 43 minutes. I think my last comment is like the big breakup, and this is for the guys on the ad industry. I read this on AdMonster's article. It's admonsters.com. They're really good the way they approach the information they create. The articles, it's like breaking up is never easy, right? So that's especially true if it wasn't you who called it to quit, right? And I like this. If you compare what happening with the third-party cookies with a big breakup of a relationship, because you already used to do the ways that you do, and as though, you know, when you are in a relationship, you are used to have this person on your side, and you love this person, and she asked to break up with you, so your world just, you know, okay, how I will do, or I need to start all over again to build another relationship. So the feeling, I think, of the advertising industry ecosystem is like a big breakup, right? You already know how to work, you know, We already know how to do the programmatic. We already create all the structure and everything on how to do it, right? But this is not the end of the world, right? So a new relationship, new tools will come. Every team will build up for a best approach, and I think we should follow the privacy. People's privacy is very important these days, so it's for the best. But it's just a new relationship that is coming. Let's see what is coming in the next days. Hopefully, very interesting and exciting tools and ways to communicate and to deliver advertising that will consider a lot how consumers are looking to the future of advertising. And this is it, guys. Sorry for the bumps. Sorry if a few things happened that was not planned. Normally the speed of the interview is amazing. Do you guys have any comments, any questions, anything that you want to ask me? I will give a few minutes here. How do you optimize? I see a lot of answer the public question with zero search follow. How do we optimize for our blog article? It's a little bit broad for me to answer. Optimization for blog article. If you follow, there's a lot of content on internet, right, on how to follow the basis of SEO. And actually, the way that we do that we create content at Green Park Content is a mix of the standards from SEO, what actually Google requires us to do, our website to do. I like to compare as your website as your own house. So if you want to invite people to come in, you need to clean up the house. You need to maintain a really nice, so people will be impressed, right, when they are coming to our house. And they will feel comfortable. So you should treat your website, your platform the same way. So there's a lot of websites that has a lot of scripts, or they are not well organized, or they are confused in the way that you have your navigation. So I also like to say that the Google bot is a lazy bot, and he wants to have everything well explained to him, because you should imagine billions and billions of search per month, and in milliseconds, Google needs to give an answer for your question, right? You are just typing, he's already giving an answer. So imagine that he went to all websites and come back to you just in the time that you are typing, right? So as easy as you can do for him, as better, right? So I think the secret is make it the content digestible, semantically organized. If you're a niche blog, focus on everything that people are asking for related to your semantic field, right? Try to focus and create probably long form article if you are a blog. Today's it's much more about quality of content than have a lot of content being produced, right? So okay, if you guys have any other questions, or if you have any other questions, we can also give you answers by email. I also share my email with the presentation. So please, guys, just reach out to us. We have a lot of experience on building audiences. I'm working on this since a long time, so my pleasure. If you want to come here to level 3 to have a coffee. These days, it's not something that is happening too often, but let's see, after the coronavirus wave pass, we can have a coffee. Okay. Thank you. If nobody has any questions, Thank you, guys, and see you in the next one. Okay. Bye-bye.